When people imagine a profitable trader, they usually picture confidence, speed, big wins, and certainty. But the truth is much quieter than that. The shift from struggling trader to consistently profitable one doesn't arrive with fireworks. It shows up subtly, almost invisibly, in how you think, how you feel, and how you behave when the market does absolutely nothing special. The real signs you're becoming profitable are not about money. They're about stability. One of the first things that changes is how you experience emotions around trading. Early on, every trade feels personal. Wins feel like proof. Losses feel like attacks. You check your phone too often. You stare at the chart longer than you should. You feel compelled to do something, anything, just to feel involved. But as you grow, something strange happens. The market starts to lose its emotional grip on you. A losing trade doesn't ruin your day anymore. A winning trade doesn't inflate your ego. You begin to understand that neither outcome defines you. They're just part of a much larger sequence. That emotional neutrality is not boredom. It's maturity. Another quiet shift is how you relate to time. When you're unprofitable, time feels urgent. You want results now. You measure progress in days and weeks. You feel like you're falling behind if you're not trading. But profitability changes your relationship with time entirely. You stop needing constant action. You stop forcing opportunities. You start thinking in months and years instead of sessions. You realize that waiting is not wasted time. Waiting is preparation. Waiting is how you protect capital and mental clarity. When time stops feeling like an enemy, you're on the right path. Your relationship with losses also evolves in a very noticeable way. Early in your journey, losses feel unfair. You replay them in your head. You search for someone or something to blame. The market, the news, the broker, the setup. But as you become more consistent, losses lose their drama. They become expected, planned, almost routine. You stop asking why you lost and start asking whether you followed your process. If you did, you move on without emotional residue. If you didn't, you correct behavior. That shift from outcome-based thinking to process-based thinking is one of the strongest indicators of real progress. Another sign you're becoming profitable is that you trade less. Not because you're afraid, but because you're selective. You no longer feel the need to be involved in every move. You recognize that most market activity is noise, and you don't need noise to make money. You're comfortable sitting on your hands while others chase. You don't feel pressure to participate just to feel productive. That restraint doesn't come from discipline alone. It comes from confidence in your edge and trust in your judgment. You also start to notice that your identity is shifting. You stop seeing yourself as someone trying to make money and start seeing yourself as someone managing risk. That sounds subtle, but it changes everything. Your focus moves away from how much you can make and toward how much you're willing to lose. You understand that profitability is not built by big wins, but by controlled losses. When risk management becomes instinctive instead of forced, you're no longer guessing your way through the market. You're operating with intention. There's also a change in how you consume information. In the beginning, you're hungry for everything. Indicators, strategies, opinions, signals. You think the next piece of information will finally unlock consistency. But as you mature, that hunger fades. You realize that more information doesn't equal better decisions. You stop chasing confirmation. You stop needing to know what everyone else thinks. You trust your framework. You filter noise automatically. When clarity replaces confusion, it's a sign you've simplified enough to be effective. One of the most overlooked signs of becoming profitable is how you handle streaks. both winning and losing. Early on, a winning streak makes you reckless. You increase size too fast, you feel invincible. A losing streak makes you desperate. You try to force a comeback. But profitability teaches balance. You treat winning streaks with caution and losing streaks with patience. You don't change who you are based on short-term results. You remain grounded regardless of what the market just did. That emotional consistency is rare and incredibly valuable. Your decision-making also becomes quieter. You no longer feel the need to justify every trade. You don't argue with the chart. You don't hesitate endlessly before execution. You see your setup, assess risk, and act, or you don't. There's less internal debate, less mental noise. Confidence doesn't mean certainty. It means acceptance of uncertainty without fear. When decisions become simple instead of stressful, you're closer to profitability than you think. Another sign is that you stop trying to impress the market. You don't trade to prove you're smart. You don't chase trades to feel important. You don't need screenshots or validation. Your satisfaction comes from following your rules, not from external approval. That internal validation is critical, because the market will never congratulate you. It will only test you. When you stop seeking validation from outcomes, you stop giving the market emotional leverage over you. You'll also notice that your lifestyle around trading becomes more balanced. You don't watch charts all day. You don't sacrifice sleep or health for setups. You understand that clarity comes from rest, not obsession. You build routines that support long-term performance instead of short-term excitement. When trading becomes part of your life instead of consuming it, sustainability becomes possible. At some point, you realize that you're no longer chasing profitability. You're protecting it. That shift is subtle but profound. Your primary concern becomes preserving consistency, not increasing returns. You understand that scaling comes naturally once stability is established. You're no longer in a rush to grow. You trust the process enough to let it unfold at its own pace. That patience is not passive. It's earned. The final sign is perhaps the hardest to describe, because it's internal. You feel calmer. Not because trading is easy, but because you've accepted what it is. You've stopped fighting the market and started working with it. You've stopped expecting perfection from yourself. You understand that profitability doesn't mean never losing. It means losing correctly. And once that understanding settles in, trading stops being a battle and starts becoming a practice. If you're experiencing even a few of these shifts, you're closer than you think. Profitability is not a destination you arrive at one day. It's a gradual alignment between how you think, how you act, and how you manage risk over time. And once that alignment starts, results eventually follow. Quietly, steadily, and sustainably.